Would you agree it is so damn tough when communication breaks down in a relationship? It's extremely painful, it's very stressful, and it's really hard to get any sort of traction. So today I'm going to talk about 3 crucial steps that are needed, because when you're in a relationship, and particularly it's a long-term one, and perhaps you've had some stuff going down, you've both been under a lot of stress, and the skills and how you used to speak to each other is starting to create a bit of turmoil. It almost feels like there's a bit of a power imbalance. It's like, who's going to win? Who's the most tiredest? Who's the one doing the most around the house? Who's the one who's providing so much financially? Who's the one who's doing the budget? And when you're fighting about, say, how you stack the dishwasher, it isn't about how you stack the dishwasher. There's so much more underneath it. And something I heard a few years ago, and I do believe it to be true: relationships aren't here to make you happy. They are here to heal your childhood wounds. And what that means is, when you're triggered or when you have a strong reaction, instead of blaming or criticizing or attacking your partner, you go inside, you have a look inside yourself. Where's this coming from? Why do I feel this? Why am I having such a strong reaction? It's crucial in continuing a relationship that's filled with love and passion and where there's a beautiful connection, but ultimately you communicate really, really well. So I think I've really set the stage that communication matters. It matters incredibly, because that then leads to your intimacy, it leads to financial, and it leads to how you parent. Now, why am I saying these 3 things? Because these are the 3 things that come in my room or online when I'm working with couples, is the breakdown of intimacy, and intimacy being the little touches, the connection, the emotional connection, and also the sex. It's also financial. It's perhaps you're not on the same page. Perhaps you don't have a similar blueprint around money. Perhaps money means different things to both of you, and you're just heading up against each other. And the 3rd thing I see is parenting and parenting styles. So it is really, really important that you're able to communicate. So I'm going to talk about the 3 crucial ingredients that are needed in a relationship for it to be harmonious, for it to be filled with passion and love and desire, because that just doesn't happen. You've got to have really good communication skills to have that. So my number 1 is actively listening. As boring as that sounds, it's actually to listen to understand. It's to listen to validate. It's to listen to actually get an understanding of what's actually going on for your partner. And often you're not going to be actively listening. You might be cooking dinner, you might be tying your kids' shoelaces, you might be getting ready for work, so you're not fully actively listening. But it is crucial, and I don't care how busy you are or how stressed you are, you create some time in your day where you actively listen, where you really listen to understand. And men, if you're listening to this, to not fix. Your job is not to fix. Put your fix-it hat on or rescue or do whatever you do, is to actually actively listen. Because I watch in my room, when a partner has been really heard and they feel like they have been listened to, it's almost like their body can release, they can let go, they feel safe, they feel heard. But you know what, if you've gone days or weeks or months where this isn't happening, this creates so much pain in a relationship. It really does. And that's when people come and see me. So the first one is actively listen. Google it. There's so much out there on actively listening. The second one is to avoid blaming, judging, criticizing. You know what, if you were raised by a critical parent and you are now with a partner who blames you, oh my goodness, it's going to be trigger happy in your household. It just is. Because it's going to be touching on that person's wounds. And it is dependent on how conscious you are as to whether you actually really get and whether you want to heal those past wounds. But to live with someone who does criticise or blames, long term can't last. It affects your self-esteem, it stops you from actually speaking up, you keep everything inside, so it's really, really not helpful. So put your hand on your heart and check in with yourself. Do I criticise my partner? Do I blame? Look, if you're a woman listening to this, have you taken on a bit of a parenting role where perhaps you're nagging your partner? Perhaps you're having a go at them. So this is all about self-reflection and being really honest. Do I actively listen? Do I blame? Do I criticise? Do I nag? Ask yourself those questions. Really recognise it's bringing in that self-awareness whether you do that. And it's having curiosity. It's not about freaking judging yourself and realising, wow, yeah, I do. Bringing in curiosity. Because if you can begin to avoid blaming, begin your day with the intention, because this is going to be an action step that you've got to start bringing into your relationship. If you blame, long term your relationship is not going to be healthy and happy. It just can't be. So my third really important communication skill is assertiveness. So if you're in a relationship and you are not assertive, what's going to be happening is you're going to be keeping stuff inside. You're not going to be really sharing your inner world. You're not going to be fully honest, fully transparent. You might start talking to other people. You might be looking outside of the marriage, outside of the relationship to get your emotional needs met. That's not healthy. In a relationship, your partner is your person, is to talk to them assertively. Look, through my marriage, I'm out of a 30-year marriage, I wasn't assertive because I was so terrified of rejection. And so I just keep things inside. But what did that do to me? It affected my self-esteem, it affected my self-worth, and I actually got really ill because I wasn't being fully honest, I wasn't being assertive. But the flip side of this is, to be assertive, you need to be in a relationship with a partner who can actively listen and who will not blame. So, men, if you're wanting your partner to be assertive, what can you begin doing differently so your partner does start speaking up, does start sharing her inner world? Women, if you're with a man who's not assertive, he just wants to please you and make you happy and it's irritating the hell out of you, what can you do so that your man can start being more assertive and start talking about what he's feeling? He's not going to do that if you're going to nag or criticise or blame him. So if you aren't being assertive, again, bring in curiosity. Bring in some self-awareness. I'm freaking assertive at work. Why am I not assertive with my partner? What's that about? It's the quality of questions you ask yourself that will begin to make shifts, because it's each of yours responsibility to be really mindful of where you're at any given moment, and notice if you're not actively listening, notice if you're blaming, and notice if you're not being assertive. And I'll make the assumption here, there's probably, if you're not doing those things in your relationship, it's because you're not doing it with yourself. Are you actively listening to yourself of what's actually going on in your inner world and your emotions, and being able to name them and really be present with yourself? Do you blame yourself? Do you criticize yourself? Do you give yourself a friggin' hard time? Well, if you do, you're certainly going to give that to your partner. And are you assertive with yourself? Do you do action steps that are in alignment with your values? Because you know that your life and your happiness is totally your responsibility. So if you aren't able to actively listen, and if you do blame, and if you're not assertive, begin with yourself first. Because what's going to happen, if you can start working on this with yourself first, you then will be able to actively listen to your partner, because you will hold the space of the container, because you will know how crucial it is for a long-term relationship, a happy, healthy one. You will also know how important it is to not blame your partner. Your partner is doing their best. You can give feedback with I statements. And I was feeling this, and look, I was hoping future that it could be this. There's a way that you can communicate it, but you can only do that if you're assertive. So how to assertively communicate. So if you're in a relationship and there's any type of power play, if you're needing to win, if you're caught up in your head and you're doing the blaming, the attacking, the criticizing, start somewhere. Take something from what I've talked about and begin really going inward and looking at that. If you want to take it any further, I do couples counselling either in person in Capella Bar, Brisbane, or I do couples counselling online. I also offer individual counselling, but there's a lot of other stuff as well that you can have access to. I've got a book, Inner Wealth, From Pain to Purpose. That could be a really great place to start, because I never used to actively listen. I used to blame, I used to criticize, and I wasn't assertive, and I did all of that with myself first. So I had to heal a lot of that so I could learn how to turn up in a happy, healthy relationship. And you can read all about it in my #1 best-selling book, Inner Wealth. I also do offer coaching, and look, we can have a bit of a chat. All of this is in my show notes. Check it all out. And look, all I would encourage is stop thinking about this and pick one action step that you can do today that is going to improve your communication skills in your marriage. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you, and I will see you next time. Bye.